Welcome to the Common Ground podcast, where stories connect, perspectives collide, and purpose is found in the middle.
Every week, we sit down with unique and inspiring guests that come from all walks of life. People who challenge the status quo, overcome the odds, and live with intentionality.
Whether you're driving to work, on your morning walk, or just looking for that spark to ignite your week, you're in the right place.
Welcome to the Common Ground podcast with your hosts, John Fletcher and Sydney Nicole.
Welcome, everybody, to the Common Ground podcast. That's right. It is your boy, Billy. He is here. He is doing fantastic and can't wait to get this party started. So, Sydney looks good as a single woman. Sydney looks good when you date her. Sydney looks good when you're married to her. But you better pay attention because you won't be looking so good when she is done with you if you don't pay attention to her. Please welcome with me, Miss Sydney Nicole in the building.
How's it going, birthday boy?
Not officially until tomorrow, but thank you. I am doing good. You know what? Hey, there's no better way to cap off year 50 than to be here with you and our guest today. So, but before we get into all the fun stuff, what's one big difference between women and men?
Boy, there's a lot, but what do you have in mind?
When a woman says she smells when a woman tells you to smell this, it usually smells nice.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. That is very, very true.
And why is a woman's secret always safe with a man?
Why?
Because he wasn't listening in the first place.
Valid. Super fucking valid. Okay, good. Awesome. The second one was my favorite for sure. I love those. Appropriate kickoff to introducing our guest, John.
Yes. And as I said, I am super, super excited. So you're going to have a ball. You're going to have a ball today because this person has personality. Amber Venner is a registered nurse, speaker, educator, and passionate advocate helping women navigate one of the most misunderstood stages of life, perimenopause. Through her work, Amber is on a mission to break the silence surrounding women's health, helping women feel seen, validated, and empowered while also equipping the people who love them with the understanding to better support them. Drawing from both her professional nursing background and her own lived experience, Amber believes that many of the struggles couples face during midlife aren't rooted in lack of love, they're rooted in lack of understanding. Her work bridges the gaps between science and real life, translating complex hormonal changes into practical conversations that strengthen relationships, improve communication, and restore connection. Beyond healthcare, Amber is a wife, mother, musician, and lifelong learner whose curiosity and compassion shines through everything she does, whether she's educating audiences, speaking openly about the realities of perimenopause, or helping couples better understand one another. Her goal is simple: to replace confusion with clarity and isolation with connection. Today, we're driving into one of the conversations too few people are having: how perimenopause changes communication, relationships, identity, and emotional health, and how men and women can't stop talking past each other and start finding common ground. So please give us a hearty welcome and welcome Amber Venner to our podcast.
Yay, thanks, John. Thank you. That was a mouthful, that whole intro. That was long and serious. That was good. I'm going to use that. That was good.
As you should. You have quite the resume. I mean, it's significant. Like it's interesting because when you have like one thing that you're an expert on, that can bleed into different areas, right? Well, then it's just you've got this medical side, and that allows you to do the speaking side and the supportive side. Because when you're really an expert on something, it bleeds a lot deeper than just the surface level of where people see this topic, right?
Especially with the lived experience. Like I needed to learn about it because I was what is happening. Yeah, I need to learn about it, and with my nursing background, I'm able to talk about it. So it worked out really well. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So let's just start with the definition, because in order to establish a conversation about anything, really, we need to know what the basis of the definition that we're talking about is. So if somebody asks you, what is perimenopause, how do you explain that to somebody who's uneducated on that?
Sure, yeah. So perimenopause is the time before menopause. So a lot of us have heard about menopause, but this is actually the time leading up to it. So it can be anywhere from like 3 to 10 years. So what it is it's a whole hormone fluctuation in your body. So, with hormones in perimenopause, it's up and down, up and down. It's dropping really quickly and then coming up really quickly. And that changes so much in your brain because hormones control so much. So it can start anywhere from like mid 30s all the way up to like late 40s. And a lot of the times, women don't really know what's happening. They're just feeling really different. And because there's not a lot of knowledge about it, at least out in the wild from our family, friends, even our healthcare providers, it's scary because you can feel yourself changing and you don't understand why. And it's day to day, changes day to day.
Yeah, that's and I think a lot of people don't understand obviously women's cycle. I don't even know, if I'm being really honest with myself and with our viewers, if they understand it, because I was raised by a single dad.
Yep.
And even if my dad loved me, there were seasons where I knew that he wanted to genuinely help me and seasons that he just genuinely didn't know how. I would argue that even now I don't fully understand it, not just because, like, I mean, obviously I'm a woman. I've got like women things that I deal with, as we do as women, right? But it's just like the actual education piece that goes into this is often untalked about outside of the necessities of what women need to understand. You take this topic a lot deeper than just that this is, here's what we're dealing with. You take it all the way down to conversation. So my question for you is, why has this become your mission? Like, why is this something that you're very passionate about?
Well, I think it's because my own experience, honestly, I was not well. I wasn't feeling right. I wondered if I should go get assessed. I never felt that way before. And then it started occurring to me that a lot of my friends around my age had been saying, the past few months, the past few weeks, I'm just not feeling right. I'm just not feeling right. And I'm a friend where I want to help. I want to dig into what people are feeling. I want to give like solid sound of advice. And I hated that when I learned about perimenopause, that I didn't know that. And my friends were struggling and I had no information. None of us had the information. And so I thought, wow, if myself as a nurse has no idea what this is, none of my girlfriends know what this is.
Sure.
And holy shit, a lot of women probably have no idea what this is. Never mind men and, women themselves at this age have no idea what's happening.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. So let's go deeper at that. I appreciate that, the meaning behind it. What were the things that you were feeling when you said, this isn't normal, and I'm experiencing people that I care about that are feeling a similar type of way, that led you to furthering your education about this subject?
Just not feeling myself. I'm not feeling right. And that's where I identify. I'm not feeling myself. I could not keep things straight anymore in my head. I was always the one to keep the calendars in my head, to schedule everything, to make sure the kids had everything they needed, to be a good coworker, a good wife, a good friend. And I couldn't do that. I was really struggling and it was embarrassing. It was frustrating. I fully missed appointments. I was late for many things and it just didn't feel good. There was a lot of self-blame and a lot of, not understanding what was happening. It sucked. It sucked, especially as a woman who, we take charge of a lot of things and we are intelligent, strong women who have handled this kind of, this kind of load for many, many years. And then all of a sudden you're like, why can I not do this?
No. And are you married?
Yeah.
Okay, so where did this communication bridge this knowledge that you have for me of, okay, this is what happened. This is how I was feeling. This is what I learned. And there's also this correlation to communication and relationships. Tell me about that. Fill in that bridge for me.
Yeah. So for the first time ever, my husband and I have been together 17 years. For the first time ever, I had every single little piece of resentment that was ever buried anywhere in my body just one night. Like, just everything came out, and he was just stunned, flabbergasted. Like, and it killed me that I hurt him and just word vomited all of that. Because as women, we swallow a lot to keep things kosher, to keep things light, to keep the peace, right? So we, when our estrogen is high and normal, it's kind of like, oh well, oh well, oh well. It keeps us like this happy, pleasing hormone, right? And then when estrogen starts getting a little funky, we don't have that little pleasing hormone anymore.
Right.
So this word vomit that came out blew my mind too, because normally I wouldn't speak like that. I wouldn't talk like that. I would swallow everything to keep the peace in my house. And I realized I couldn't do that anymore. I needed to communicate my needs. I needed to say what I needed to say. I needed to stop swallowing everything that made me feel not important or not seen or not heard, because it was better for my family, because it was easier. That's what women do. We're people pleasers.
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah.
So you had this word vomit. Did you at first think it was something else? Is this misdiagnosed as something else normally? And what was your process to finding out that it was perimenopause?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of the times when women are going through this and they start to think, I'm not feeling like myself, you go to your healthcare provider, right? A lot of the times it's you're under too much stress. So lighten your stress load. No problem. Sure. Okay. I'll just, get other people to do everything I need to do. It's also like, oh, you sound very anxious. Maybe anti-anxiety medication is something you need. Or maybe, are you depressed? Maybe an antidepressant would help, because a lot of the times these signs and symptoms can mimic things like that. And you get blood work done. And because of the fluctuations of hormone up and down and all around, your blood work could come back fairly normal. And you'd just be like, yeah, everything looks normal. You're probably just depressed. You're probably just anxious. So here's some medication.
So what was your specific track to finding out though that it was perimenopause? Like, did you think that it was something else, and then you had somebody who eventually said, what I think you have is perimenopause? Did you do home research yourself and say, wow, there's this whole thing called perimenopause?
Yeah.
Where did you?
Yeah, I thought my mental health had crashed. I thought that I was going crazy. I'm like, oh wow, like I think I should go to the hospital. I think I need to get assessed, because this is not me. I was spinning. Like, I had no idea. There was nights I'd stay up all night, like where I was just spinning, because I was very anxious, and my thoughts were like spinning all the time, and I was angry at myself and frustrated that I couldn't do this, this, and this. So like I would stay up to make sure I could get everything done that I would normally do, just to not, I'd feel like I was failing my family or my job or my friends if I didn't get everything done that I used to be able to do. So I'm a rabbit holer. I'm a rabbit holer. That's what I do. I research everything, until I can pinpoint. And then when I came across, I was like mid-age, experiencing these kind of symptoms, started, this time in my life. And then I kept getting things about hormones. So that led me down the perimenopause path. And I was, wow, this makes sense. And then everything just started falling into line. And then all the symptoms, everything got crappy and worse, and then up and then down. But at least I could name it and understand what it was, right?
Yeah. I think that I am very, very similar with this. And I totally might be derailing what you and John talked about in the final interview. And I'm going to do it anyways, if I'm being honest. I have become fascinated with the connection between the mind and the body. Like this whole idea of stored trauma. I mean, we talk about hormones, we talk about blood work, we talk about health habits, eating habits, drinking habits, like those are the things that your primary care provider will ask you when you come in, like how often are you drinking? Do you use substances? Are you on any medication? Like, and you're right, they're very quick to push a pill and say like, this is anxiety, this is depression. PCP is different than somebody that's an expert in their area, as we've established with somebody that is as passionate about this topic as you are about the perimenopause, which is significant and it's important. My question for you is that because we know now that we store trauma in our bodies, that it affects our nervous system, it affects our body's stress response. I'm curious, how much of this realistically do you think is stored trauma in the body that's responding to this hormonal shift that happens to us just based on a period of life that we're in biologically? What's that connection?
Yeah, exactly. Like there are so many things that mimic perimenopause too, right? So when your, say, like your estrogen isn't giving you that lovely, la 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 hormone, these types
Can we call that the Snow White hormone? Because whatever you just did right there, I just pictured the like making the birds sing with you.
I will now.
Estrogen, the Snow My birds don't sing with me as I don't have the Snow White hormone. What's happening right now?
Yeah, I think Snow White was like 13, but close enough. Like I that's what it was. Like that lovely, exactly the way she carries herself. Sydney, that's quite perfect. Yeah. So it mimics a lot of things, and like I said, you don't have that hormone like solidity that will keep you at a base level, right? So if you have like past trauma, these things are going to start coming up only because you can't block them in your brains as well as we had or mask those kind of things with these hormone fluctuations. You can't mask it. That's why a lot of women at our age, or my age, sorry, Sydney, you're way younger than me. A lot of women are getting diagnosed with ADHD because they've been so, trained to people please and to mask these types of symptoms.
This is going to be good.
Yeah, can't do that anymore. So a lot of women are like, holy shit, I have ADHD. It explains a lot of, because women and men carry it differently. So with boys, hyperactivity,
Yeah.
ADHD for sure, right? Girls didn't carry it the same. And so when don't have the levels to mask it anymore, it all comes out, which is just a whole other piece of perimenopause that some women now have to go through and have to sort out. But like I've said, there are so many things that could mimic back and forth, like perimenopause and PCOS, for example, too.
That's what I have.
Yeah. So that would, I have women that have PCOS who are a lot younger than me, like you, Sydney, who are having a lot of the same experiences that women my age are having because of the PCOS. And that can be very confusing too, because perimenopause, it's all symptom based. That's how it's diagnosed, not by blood work and not by, dating your period. It's all based on symptoms. But if you have something like PCOS, that is in itself a diagnosis. So if you look at the different types of symptoms, you'll see that they really, really mimic each other. So a lot of women will go and get checked out and see if they have PCOS,
You're talking about when you say symptoms that mimic each other, are you talking about symptoms of ADHD? Because that's the example that you gave, and PCOS? Is that the correlation?
Oh, sorry. Perimenopause and PCOS.
Oh, I see. Okay, sounds good.
What is PCOS?
It's
for the guy who has no clue.
MOS. So now it's polycystic metabolic ovarian syndrome. It was formerly exclusively related to the ovary. So people will often call it like diabetes of the ovaries. It's just an imbalance in your hormones, but they've now recently recognized it as an entire metabolic imbalance. And anything that wants to add to it, I'd love to hear. But that's how I've always been led to understand it. But what I've come to learn is that PCOS actually is also a physical manifestation of trauma in the body. And that's where I'm trying to go into when we talk about this word vomit in communication with our spouses as men or women, okay? Because men also have these hormonal fluctuations. It just looks different. And then we've got ours as women. How do we as people then how do we come to a place where we can recognize, yes, these are my physical symptoms. Yes, this is something that I deal with hormonally, but that is because the mind and the body are ultimately one vessel that are connected and communicating all the time. The same way we talk about our gut being like our second brain. That is so crucial in this conversation to recognize, like, yes, we're dealing with a hormonal imbalance, but where does the fix start? Does it start in the mind or does it start in the body?
So it all depends, Sydney. It depends. Like, with perimenopause, you can go and talk to your doctor about HRT, so hormone replacement therapy, right? So that
Sure.
can mimic these hormones in your body that are fluctuating. It can help, tell your body that you're not losing these hormones or you're not spiking in these hormones. This is your hormone base level. But something like trauma, that would be definitely like psychotherapy, right? So with psychotherapy, not everybody is comfortable laying all that stuff out there, but there are lots of different options for trauma. Like past life regression, that's a very heavy thing, but I've heard it works. There is like cognitive behavioral therapy. There's different types of therapy, but I think you're right when you say this whole mind and body, they're all connected, right? And with perimenopause, because hormones affect so much of our brain, the things like trauma and stuff will start coming through because we can't block it out the way we used to. And so then you are now going to be treating perimenopause symptoms as well as, a lot of swallowed trauma, which
What I just heard you say, just so that I'm making sure we're on the same page,
Yep.
you said when we start experiencing perimenopause symptoms, that we are also, or can also rather, be experiencing trauma symptoms. So is it your claim, just so that we're on the same page, that we first experience it in the body and then we experience it in the mind?
Yeah, so I don't think that you're going to experience the trauma. It's the fact that the way the hormones affect your brain, you can't just shove it to the back anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
with the hormone imbalances, it can't protect you the way it used to. So it can't protect your brain from that trauma the way it used to. Like, it just can't mask it anymore.
Go ahead, John. I'm feeling your thoughts from this side of the screen in the States. I'm ready for it.
You're not feeling my thoughts.
John is like, what?
I'm not good.
This is like, I feel it in my bones.
Oh, no, I can't say it because I will get in so much trouble. So I'm just
Hold on, wait a minute. I think that Amber and I are on the same page here, that when we are the Common Ground podcast and we communicate our thoughts respectfully, that we are here for all of the thoughts.
Yeah, we are. John, you know it.
So this is typical men-women relationship, right? Talking, right? So
Okay.
here the women go, start talking about a serious conversation. And Amber has said the word swallow like 10 times, and then she just said, shove it to the back. And it was like, dude, why is my mind going in all the wrong places?
Oh my God.
Because with me, which I can totally talk about too. Like, because that's how you feel.
I told you, I didn't want to say this out.
Take ownership for that. That was me.
Yeah, because then you can totally move into women's libido at this point too. Because you're having those thoughts all the time. Women in perimenopause, like, see ya, that shit's gone.
Does PCOS, you're saying that PCOS and perimenopause have like similar symptoms? What are the correlations in the symptoms that happen there? I'm asking because what you just said, and maybe that's not one of the symptoms that cross correlates, but like, like sexual intimacy has always been a form of control for me. And I don't, not in like a weird, sexual way. I mean, like my sex drive never dropped even when I was.
Yeah, because you got high testosterone if you got PCOS.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's my earring keeps falling out. Isn't that weird? Anyway. So yeah, with PCOS, typically your testosterone is
Yep.
way more than a woman would typically have. I have a really great friend. She's called the Bearded Lady. She is fully bearded, beautiful. She's because she's got PCOS or what's it, PCMO something.
MOS is the new one, but I actually
saying that one. And yeah, like sex is still something that she wants on the regular. Like it's because of that testosterone, right? Which does not necessarily correlate with perimenopause, although some women, majority, loss of libido, some will get increased libido. So there's just a lot of like cross symptoms, like feeling, moody, feeling irritable, those types of things that also correlate with perimenopause. So I'm not an expert in PMOS. I don't know tons about it. I just know that there are a lot of correlations with the symptoms that Genevieve and I have talked about. Because we want to do something together at some point, when life allows it. So I'm not an expert in that, so I can't say for sure.
Sure.
But,
I was just curious.
Yeah, for sure.
So, since we're going to go from things from like different points of view,
Yeah.
what do you say to the man who goes, "Oh man, this is just another woman's diagnosis, saying that she gets to act as crazy as she wants to be? I got to deal with menopause. Now I got to deal with perimenopause. Like, come on, give me a break now,
Yeah. What do I say? Well, I'd say if you want to have that attitude, you're not ever going to get what you want then. Yeah. It's more like you got to stay curious, man. You got to believe it, right?
Well, and so like this is where I think that I differ if I get to like add to the middle ground here because I'm a woman, but I was raised, like I said, by a single dad. One of the obstacles that I have with modern medicine and modern day psychology is this idea that we are somehow alleviated from our responsibility in the actions that we have as women based on this hormonal imbalance or based on this psychiatric diagnosis, like whatever it is. I've removed all labels from me. Like I say, I am unlabeled. I've had diagnosis in my past. I've had diagnoses in my current stage of life. I have chosen as a person to say, I don't care what a psychiatrist says, what a doctor says. Like ultimately, I am responsible for my actions and the diagnosis that I have, whatever it may be. And my belief as a person is that whatever our diagnosis is as an individual should not be to have a crutch to lean on to justify our actions, but to be to understand how to support ourselves better as individuals. What do I need in this moment? So when John says, okay, like men just hear crazy women, like we've got diagnosis XYZ. Unfortunately, there's a reason that stereotype exists. There's a whole body of people that will say, well, it's because I've got this. It's because I've got this. And it's not exclusive to women. Okay. It's not mutually exclusive. We've got men that say the exact same thing, vice versa, not on a hormonal basis per se, but like the psychiatric thing. And I guess where I come into play here is like, so we know this about ourselves. Then what do we do with the information rather than have this like marriage disconnect or this relational disconnect of like, instead of how can men ask better questions, how can we better educate our partner on how to support us?
Yeah. And like you said, Sydney, there are diagnoses, you can blame hormones for changes, sure, but you still have to take responsibility of how you treat people in these circumstances, right? Yes, these things are real, but you control how you speak to people, how you react to people, right? That is something that I think a lot of people forget. You're still responsible for your actions, regardless of what is happening to you or to someone else. Like you are responsible for your actions. You're allowed to feel the way you feel. You're always allowed to feel a certain way, the way you feel, you're always allowed. But you have to be able to check yourself. Like you have to be able to, or else you're going down a dangerous, dangerous road. So I think with like relationships per se, we don't even know the half of it. We don't even know, right? So I think with heterosexual relationships, it's men being curious. Men being curious. It's easier for them to just try to back away.
Mhm.
But I think men need to be a lot more curious about what's happening with women.
Sure.
Because it's easy to just try not to talk about it and try not to dance around. And I mean, a lot of men will take it to heart, take a lot of the women's, they lose their shit. Men will blame them. They think it's something they've done, but it's really like they just maybe didn't get any sleep, or they just had a really, extremely raging day, but men just take it personally because our partners are the ones who will get the reactions, right? The ones closest to us.
I think you said something very key to begin with, and it was like that you get to, even though you may have this hormonal change, you get to decide how you let it come out, right? And you talked about how your first initial thing was that word vomit, where you went and you just let it rip. And I think from like a guy's perspective, listen, if you do that once, that's cool. I can understand that. Like, let it out, let it out. I won't get upset with you. I'll try to understand you. But if that starts happening every day, now I feel like you're blaming me, and it's not like us working something out. It's I'm your punching bag now because you don't feel good. And I don't think that is appropriate, you know?
Yeah. So the thing is, John, like, so you want to be curious about, well, why are they feeling that way? Are they overwhelmed? Are they stressed out? Are they, feeling shitty about themselves? There's a lot of body changes in perimenopause. And it's not just coming at your partner because your partner's there. It's feeling incredibly lost in who you are and looking around and feeling so stressed out about everything around you that you just can't carry anymore. And the partner is like, I can't handle this, and it's like, I need you to support me hard, because they don't even understand what's happening, right?
So I want to jump in here real quick, because this is kind of,
I think it would be more profound coming from me because I feel like I know what you're about to say.
you're not. I don't think you do. This is going differently than what I want, because this goes back to our conversation before last week, right? And how men and women communicate, right? You said that men need to be curious, they need to ask questions, right? And when I ask questions, you know what I got thrown back? Stop trying to solve my problems. Stop trying to fix me. And so again, when I hear ask questions, for me, it's like, how do I fix you? How do I ask the proper questions so that we can, because that's what I do all day long. All day long at work, I'm given problems. I have to come up with solutions, and I have to fix problems. So when I come home, I'm already in that mood of 8 hours a day of fixing problems. You're the next problem I'm fixing. And what you're saying, and I know what you're saying, is I want to be heard. I want to be understood. I want a glass. I want you to, the famous white man can't jump. When Rosie Perez goes, I'm thirsty, and Woody Harrelson goes up and gets a glass of water, and she goes, I don't want this glass of water. I wanted you to empathize with me. I want you to ask me. I know what it feels like to feel thirsty. But that's what you meant when you said ask questions. But what a guy hears is there's a problem. I need help fixing it, and I want to. Now, Sydney, was that where you thought I was going with it?
Yes and no, actually. It's so different vein. For me, I think that, and maybe this is conditioned in me based on having things always Uno reversed on me. But I want to stay on what you're talking about, but I have men say like, yeah, you want these questions asked, but you don't ask questions. So it's not reciprocated. Like the other way around is like, okay, so then like women say, ask questions, be curious, like, get to know me, what I'm going through at this stage of my this. And it's like, I don't think that modern day women understand the weight that men carry, or the fact that women put it on themselves to carry the same weight as men when they asked for this feminist movement to be honored and said, we're women, we can do this too. And it's like, for me, I'm like, fuck you. We had it good, bro. I could have been making sourdough and a cherry patterned apron, and you guys could have all fucked off. And I wouldn't have had anybody to tell me what to do. I wouldn't be worried about bills. I wouldn't be worried about communication with my spouse. Like, dinner is served. The kids are taken care of. You'll get laid later. Leave me alone. And now instead we've like, she's laughing. We had the mic muted, but
Yeah. No, this is all very valid and very real. Definitely. So, John, like what you said, is men, they inherently fix things. That's what they do. Of course they want to fix. Of course they do. But I think something that a little tidbit of advice is just ask what they want. Do you want me to listen? Do you want me to help you fix it? Do you want me to leave you alone? Do you want me to, ask what they want, especially if she's like, stop trying to fix it. Oh, okay. Well, what do you need from me? Because I want to support you. Don't say help. Help is, I hate the word help. I want to support. So please, what can I do for you? And don't ask, what can I do? Because then they got to also put that on their plate to think about what they need to do to assign you a task. And that's too much. Do you want me to listen? Do you want me to just take a step and just start doing shit? What do you want? Right?
Okay. I have to, before you go to the next thing, this is an analogy that my pastor gave me. He said, and I've known him since I was like 5 years old. He was my dad's best friend for a long time. When him and his wife get into an argument based on this, where he tries to fix, she just wants empathy. They've now in their marriage come up with the system, clip this, I've got a tagger in it. But it's like, he'll listen to her start to do this vent thing, right? Like is going on. And he just pauses and he goes, do you want me to get into the mud puddle or do you want me to take you out of the mud puddle? And that's like, do you want me to just listen? Like, am I just here with you and we're just dwelling? Like, are we like, is this just we're in the emotions or do you want me to fix the problem? And that is her, like, she just gets to be like, okay, I want out. Or nope, just get in, get me a glass of wine and get in this mud bath that we're in right now.
So I'll go back to what you were saying, Sydney, with the whole women's movement and stuff, right? Yeah, some women totally like, leave me at home. I will do whatever. But a lot of women in those situations don't have a lot of independence, right? And I think that women are starting to feel that this is expected of us, but it's also expected to work full time and to completely still run a complete household and to realize that actually we're our own person. Like we get opportunities to do things that we want to do too, right? And I think that's our generation. I think that our parents started with the whole, oh, we can divorce. Oh, I can teach your kids, no, go for what you want. Go for what you want. Go for what you want. Which it did kind of go really far on the other side because everybody's going to university and everybody's going to college and then nobody can find jobs. And there's just a whole thing of going too far that way, right? And the only thing that I think that confusion blended was that women still were told that you get married, you have children, and you have your house. And then once your children are a little bit grown and you're in your 40s, good luck to you. Good luck out there. Good luck. Because nothing's mimicked. Like we don't know what we're supposed to be looking at in our 40s, right? To like expectations of how to live as a 40-year-old woman. But I find that women just need to feel validated and valued now. They need that. They just want to feel that they are just as important as a man. And I think with, the aptitude of just the amount of information that we can consume, we see it all now and the possibilities, right? So I know there are definitely women who would love to stay at home and just chill and then give a big BJ because you're a good man and that's part of your duty, right?
What I am really saying is that there is a body of people that pattern was disrupted by because of the feminist movement. So the people that still want a traditional woman and the women that still want a traditional man, they're going to find that. And that's not going to be disrupted by this feminist movement. What I am getting at is that modern day feminism is what disrupted that pattern ultimately. So from a biological standpoint here, men want respect and women want love. And you just affirmed that by saying women want this validation. We want to know that we are loved and appreciated in this capacity, but in that order. And that's really important. Men have a biological need to be respected because they want by design to be providers. They want to be providers. They want to be protectors. And ultimately, they want to be respected for that. So it's not that men don't need love. And it's not that women don't need respect. It's that it's in the opposite order. It's that men need respect and then love. And then women need love and then respect. The modern feminist movement really screwed that up. So now we're asking women to figure out their identity at these different stages of their life, basing it on this definition of where we're at hormonally in our journey. If we're not going to acknowledge trauma, not saying that it doesn't exist, but if we're just looking at this exclusively from a biological standpoint, and we're still not acknowledging the men in this. And so my question is like, where is that mutually reciprocated if we're going to talk about this from a feministic point of view?
And I hear your feministic movement is the reason that this all crashed. I want to disagree and say that economics, we can't afford to stay home. Like, we can't afford, most of us, to have a one income household anymore. Like, you need two incomes unless you're lucky and, have a great job and your wife can stay home. But a lot of the times it's not attainable anymore for one person to stay home. So I don't know if it was just the feminist movement, but also I think you're looking at it from a societal point of view. Like, why does it have to look like that? That's just the way it was kind of bred in us, right? Like, you're looking at it from a heterosexual, men do this, women do this, which honestly, like, how long do we have to keep carrying that? Like, why can't we have change in that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, men and women are biologically different, but their brains, not that different. They're not. It's what we see growing up. It's what we read, what we're exposed to is how we learn who we are and who we're supposed to be growing up, right? So I don't know if it's so much biological as it is just a lot of learned behaviors.
See, that's where I think that I want to be curious in this at the same time, because I really respect you and I respect your opinion a lot, Mm-hmm. But I do think that men and women are biologically different. And I think that does play a role.
Yeah.
Now, I think some of the stuff that you said, like, I think some of the after causes of feminism is now we're at a place where the average American, both people do have to work. I especially if you live in a city. I don't know, like, a lot of times men have to have one person let me say this. One person has to have two jobs and then another person has to have one job. Like, but that's born out of that the woman going into the workplace and that household getting so much money that stuff became more accessible, so people bought more. So now they put themselves into this position where they have to keep up with it, have it. I mean, I think if we could go back and we could get that, I think stuff would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely. For consumer.
And that's what I was going to say is like, it's not that it's hard for me because I'm in the same boat as John. Like, we've had some conversations with people that are on the opposite political side as us, and nor am I trying to make a conversation about perimenopause something that shifts to a political connotation, because I'm not. I'm just saying that, like, did feminism create inflation? No, maybe not directly, but there was a widespread shift from a one income to a two income household, and that changed the economy landscape in ways that made that single income family less, did it shift it in a way that made the single income families less competitive? Yeah, because there was now a new hiring basis. There's like, now we cannot discriminate based on the movement of feminism. And that makes it so that now we have to be more competitive about who we hire and what we pay based on experience and background. So no, it didn't single-handedly contribute to inflation. However, I think that it would be naive to completely overlook the contribution that it had based on women wanting to work.
For sure. And I think women wanted to feel like a person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a valued person of society. right? And I think with women being so repressed, all of a sudden all these things start coming out, like fashion took a big, like in the 70s, early 80s, like all of a sudden fashion was a huge, and women love that. So yeah, there's
Yeah,
me, and that's how consumerism just started.
yeah, no, absolutely. And then, you also you had made a comment about like men and women not being that different. And it's another place that I want to respectfully push back. It's like, if biology only accounts for a small part of our behavior, then why do hormonal changes have such a profound impact on our mood and our energy and our libido and our cognition? If we're gonna say that there's only a small impact, like we're the same, we're not that different, but we expect men to do all of these extra things, that just for me, that really conflicts that argument.
Right. So biology, like our makeup is obviously different. Our makeup is different, the way everything in our body, but our brains are similar. That's where I was going with that makeup is similar. It's the brains, not the whole biology makeup. But I think a lot of it is learned. I think it's learned behaviors, and what we see represented is what we are striving to be. Like that's just learned behaviors. And when you were saying like, okay, so men have all these expectations or all these things that they have to do that women aren't seeing. Like, what do you mean by that, Sydney? Like, what are you comparing it to? Like, what are you saying when men, you were saying, sorry, I just missed, like men have something like expectations, or they have things that they need to do. Like, what was that there?
I don't know if I heard your question correctly. What was it? One more time. I just want to make sure I understood the question.
Yeah, you were saying something about why aren't women understanding what men are going.
Yeah, I think that so for example, to use my own situation for the example, like I'm going through a lot of that recognition piece where I said that I'm now recognizing that trauma is stored in the body. So I'm not saying that this is applicable to all women, but it does go for the communication piece, just to isolate what we're talking about here. And like, he's had a lot of trauma that he's gone through too, but men are expected from a very young age, they're conditioned and trained to like, we just suppress that. We just handle that because we're expected to be the leaders and the providers. So like, we don't talk about that. We just push it down and out of the way. Whereas women tend to be a lot more in touch with their feminine side, is what it's called. I would just say the emotional side of themselves, for the sake of like eliminating this gender specific, like men don't have emotions, but women do thing. Like, I think that whole talk track can tend to be toxic on men's behalf. And so, all that I was getting at with it, using my own example, is like right now I'm going through all of this stuff that I'm trying to process so that I can be a better mom, a better wife, a better whatever, like this, that, all of the things. But one of the things that I heard my husband say for the longest time that I didn't really feel like I fully processed is like, well, where does my stuff get acknowledged? Like, you've been carrying this stuff. I've been carrying this stuff. We came into the marriage with this stuff. So where do I get hurt along the way? And I think that that's really common, but I think that like then women see that as well, now you're just Uno reversing this, when really it's like, I've got shit too. You've got shit. I've got shit. Where does the shit get acknowledged? How do we process this in a healthy space that doesn't minimize your problems or minimize my problems?
Absolutely. This is not a man blame at all. Like, men have
really, no, absolutely.
Right? Like, men really have no idea. And you are definitely right. Men have a lot of the things that they carry, but traditionally they don't show emotion. They don't express how they are feeling, where women do. So it's not that women don't acknowledge what men are carrying. Like, a lot of men are carrying, like you said before, trying to be the provider, trying to be the protector, trying to bring in the money, the finances, all that stuff. But men are trained not to talk about it. That's essentially why women will talk about their feelings. So it's not that women don't want to acknowledge a male's feelings. It's that generally their feelings are never brought to you a lot of the times, right? Whereas women speak openly about their feelings, where a lot of men still repress, even when women are begging, please just tell me how you feel. They don't even know how to express it a lot of the times. They've never been shown.
Oh, I want to go somewhere, but I know we're going.
Yeah, we're close. There's one thing that I do want to comment on though, because she had said, she came back with the comment about how we had, so your medical background, I'm psychology background. That's my educational background. So one of the things that you had said is that men and women, it's not that we're not different. It's just that like that your statement was that our brain is relatively the same, obviously not 100%, and we get that, but that it's the hormones that are actually different. But one of the things that like we recognize from a psychological standpoint is that hormones actually directly affect the brain. They bind receptors throughout the brain. So this affects like our hippocampus, which is related directly to memory. It affects our amygdala, which is related to emotion and fear, in a way that, like, if estrogen and testosterone are actively changing neutral activity in parts of the brain that are responsible for things like memory, emotions, and decision making, then can we really separate hormones and brain function for the sake of like defining this is our differentiating factor?
Men, they don't go through hormone changes like women do. So men, they get their peak hormones around like 18, 20, and then they start around 30, 35, and it starts declining slowly. This is what happens to men. Their hormones decline slowly. It's not an up and down, it's not sporadic. Slowly they decline. So they're not hit as hard by hormone changes as women are, because ours are so all over the place. Where you'll find a lot of older men, that's when they start, they talk about the male loneliness epidemic, right? Because they starting to realize that maybe they have emotions and they have feelings because they're losing all that testosterone slowly over the years. But a lot of the times by then, a lot of their male friend groups have gone. They've gone to do their own thing. A lot of men are alone by the time their testosterone drops so much that they feel ready to want to express feelings and whatnot. So it's just, there are definitely hormone changes in both male and female bodies, but they differ the way they come out.
I would say that from a man's point of reference, I think a man, and I'm trying to look back at my whole entire life and the men that I've associated with. I think men are fine, actually, being vulnerable. They just need to feel safe.
Yeah,
And
I would,
that is a really hard place for a man to get. Um, and that goes into again, another whole different discussion, because um, it's it's that dynamic where you know a man's job is always to make the woman feel safe, but I don't always feel that that's in returned, you know, and it's used too much against guys, you know.
yeah, sure.
And that's the way, I didn't want, it's not a male versus female thing,
No, of course not.
that everybody has no idea what's happening, right? Everybody has no idea. So that's why I keep using the word curiosity. So in saying that, John, what would you say maybe it's too much to just think off the top of your head, but like, what would make you feel safe, in a safer space, to be able to be vulnerable? Like, what would it take because I know you did grow up with lots of men around you, right? And you still have like your dad, like, you're still close with men. And what if, what if a lot of men didn't have that close relationship with family or, friends? What do they need to feel safe to be able to talk about how they are feeling, instead of just coming at it after the woman saying, I'm feeling this way, this way, this way, and then saying, yeah, well, I'm feeling this way. Like, how do you even start that?
So where I've seen men most vulnerable at is when there's this brotherhood. There's this thing where um men feel like this ain't leaving the room, you know?
Yeah.
What is said here stays here.
Mhm.
And see, men do that a lot with other men in all other parts of their life. So they can feel that way with their it's not brought back up on a different instance, you know? And there's a difference, like, because I can take you back. Um we get together for all our birthdays, you know, me and a group of of guys, right? We have this core, and sometimes some women come, and we razz on each other, right? We razz on each other. We like we'll but in that same sense, like that razzing won't hit certain subjects, and it if certain people are there, it won't happen. Like it's there's this trust, there's this brotherhood where like and um it's not brought back up against us in it. Like I don't like if I would ever tell one of my brothers, I know it's not going to come back up in an argument later, you know, that and used against me, you know. But I've had that in my own marriage,
with women.
Yeah, sure.
and that's why to me I say it's funny because this is a conversation I would love to have on another podcast. Is that men like men? I think, and I'm not trying to different men and women and trying to cause like separation and stuff, but like a guy will keep another guy in check and be like, dude, you don't want to do this. Like when it comes to like that vulnerability, like don't share more than like there's this whole code, there's a guy who'll stand up for a guy, where I think like women get together and they're like, no, let the guy know how you feel. Like show your emotions. Who cares what he thinks? Who cares? And it's like I've seen because I've been in groups where I've seen both of those things happen, and it might not be just men and female, but for the majority of the time, I've seen men where guys will keep people in check, where women will and it induce the other women to behave badly because you know it's their right to, and is that and um that's just my point of view, and that's where what I've seen. And again, I'm not trying to make it a man versus woman, but I would love to have a conversation because I am curious about it. I would love to hear at some point the different views, and I'm open to having a conversation about it. But that's and some of the stuff that we talked about. That's some of the stuff that kind of came to my mind. You know, it's like if you like in this perimenopause, you know, I can see a bunch of women going, you know, um, who cares? Who cares if he gets upset that your hormones? You have a right to be hormonal. You have a right to say what you feel in that moment, and really like really almost almost with the almost like pro trash the guy, where the
Yeah,
guys are like, you know
hanging up.
what? She's your wife. She's your wife. Calm down. I know you're. I know. We'll go out for a drink on another night. Try like because I've been there. I've seen my dad do this with other men who were dealing with women who were going through menopause at that time, and I've seen him encourage them to do the right thing, to be there, to be supportive, you know, and if they needed a night out, you know, to get away, to go do that. But I've also seen the women be like, God, no, it's your right. You're right to be menopausal. You're right. Like, and it's like they egg them on. And
I mean, that's doesn't sound very familiar to me, but Canadian maybe, I don't know. But like, I don't know. We are just too kind, right? So we're like, sorry. Sorry. Like, I feel like with my friend groups, I mean, in the moment, they're not going to be egging me on, but if I'm there at their house later, they're going to be like, yeah, what a fucker. What an asshole. Yeah, like, of course. But I think in front of other people, like,
none of this is happening in front of people.
yeah, okay. Like, I think women just want to be validated by other women, right? Like, just feel like they're not crazy. Or like, am I wrong here? Because women like to talk about their emotions and their feelings, right? To feel validated and to feel heard. And a lot of the times, we're going to get that from other women.
Sure.
But this is like, dude, I know that there's so much more to go, and there was so much more we wanted to talk about. But if you could go back to the beginning of your journey, knowing everything you know now, you know, what would you tell yourself?
You're not crazy?
Good.
I knew that, but
Yeah, but I didn't at the time.
It's valid.
Yep.
I like that. I can appreciate that.
Coolest Canadian I know.
A?
Okay. Well, you just said A. I got to take a couple points off of that one.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, that's going to bring us to our key takeaway segment.
Key takeaways.
For me, I think the whole theme has been funny with the song that we released for our Common Ground podcast. It's called Be Curious. And so I think there's a difference between trying to have a debate and to be curious. Because when you're having a debate, your point is to win. And if in the middle of your relationship, you're debating with your person that you're in a relationship with, that means you're trying to win, which means they have to be the losers. And that's never a good place to be in. And it was one of the things I used to say to my ex all the time. It's like, I don't care if I win. Like, the winning isn't my objective. And it never got through. I was always wanting to be curious. It's like for me, it's like where, and that's why I was excited about this episode, because I think this episode, if nothing else, represents common ground, to its core, about being curious about, like, dude, we can come from our different points of view. We can have the opinion whether feminism is good or feminism is bad, or you know what, but we can have a healthy debate about it too, right? And we can sit there and be curious to why somebody thinks feminism might be good versus why somebody may think feminism might be bad. And maybe there's something we can learn. The person that you're choosing to do life with, the person that you're in a relationship with, don't they deserve the best? Like, why would we want anything less than to be curious with them? You know?
Mm-hmm.
I love this conversation. My goal for you, my takeaway, my thing that I think everybody should have in the middle of any kind of debate is, am I trying to make the other side lose? Or am I just being curious? And I think if you ask that if you can genuinely ask yourself that question, even if you think they're stupid for having the thing that they have, you don't want them to be a loser, do you? You just want them to be misinformed, right? Like, but in today's society, we want the other side to lose. It's not good enough that they're misinformed. It's not good enough that they don't see things the way that we see things. We want them to be losers. And again, that's why this episode to me is so representative of what we stand for here, because it's not about somebody losing. It's about being curious. It's about saying, you know what? We can have different points of view, but maybe I can learn something. Maybe you have a point somewhere that I can learn, that I can become a better person, that I can appreciate, that maybe I can see things a little differently. And thank you both for having a wonderful conversation, and I adore both of you. But that's my key takeaway.
Yeah, I think that's the same vein for mine, truthfully, because like we've had conversations in the past where people have not appreciated our different perspective, and Amber brings a really unique take where like she comes back with more questions rather than just defense. And it's people's normal trigger. Like it's normal to feel not in this conversation. This conversation was an example, like John said, about a really healthy, like, okay, here's this question that I just want to understand the perspective of, because like people can misconstrue this information, but it's really, really common for people's knee-jerk reaction to be the opposite and just like, no, that's wrong. I don't agree. Like, and then to say whatever they say, to back that evidence that they have. But one thing that this conversation reminded me is that people don't usually become defensive because they're evil. They become defensive because they feel misunderstood. So like not this particular conversation, but the conversation about perimenopause is the fact that women often get defensive because they feel misunderstood. Men often get defensive because they feel misunderstood or misrepresented in some way. So understanding isn't always agreement. Like, we don't have to, when we say I understand you, it doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with you. It means that I understand where you're coming from emotionally. I see you. I hear you. I'm here for you. I'm not attacking you. And here's what I am equally trying to understand. And that's what we lack a lot today. And society is that ability to be like, I hear you. And like, it's not a either or, it's not a no, but it's a yes and. And I talk about the yes and statement quite a bit, even just with my sales guys when I'm training them to understand their clients' needs. But it's the willingness to stay curious long enough to see somebody else's humanity in the subject matter. So that's my key takeaway. But Amber, if you wanted to like come in and leave our nuggets, leave your gold nugget of wisdom with our viewers or comment on our key takeaways, what would you like to add?
And Sydney, like you were saying, and you too, John, it's like there are so many things that I know or perspectives that I've never thought of before. So there are many, I want to learn why you feel that way about something because I've maybe never thought of that before. You know, teach me, show me, like when, like you're open to my thoughts too. And again, like John said, it's not about being right. This is not ever a thing about who is right, who's winning. Because if you're trying to win in, you know, a relationship, that is just setting up for failure. Like, it's not about who is hurting the most, who is having the hardest time. It's like, this is the way I am feeling and this is the way I am seeing things. How are you feeling and how are you seeing things? Let's talk about that. It's not, you're not on opposite sides. Like you're going through the same type of thing with loss and grief and not understanding what's going on, but they're they're walking away from each other instead of coming face to face and like just trying to talk about it and communicate about things and learning from each other and from the world around us and understanding of what is happening at this midlife stage to everybody.
Right. Love it. Love it. Love it.
So do I. So, yeah. So thank you. One thing I want to announce the day before my birthday is that it's a big thank you to everybody who has watched an episode, who has listened to an episode, who has, and I think this is a perfect one because again, I think this episode really represented us. But I want to really thank our listeners, our supporters, because we finally hit that 1K subscriptions on YouTube. And so thank you. We really, really, really do appreciate it. And we are really trying to build something that matters, that makes a difference, that allows people to know that it's all right, that you don't have to be a winner at everything. You don't have to make somebody else feel like a loser. And I know that that's how the world is, acting today, and we have a president who is great at everything, which means everybody has to be worse at everything, right? Um, so so yeah, it's I just want to say thank you. If you can go on to Apple and give us a 5-star, help build our credibility. Go to Google reviews, write a review about us. That helps build this platform. We have amazing things coming in store for you for our anniversary show and our anniversary Monday Night Live. So this should be out before that. So you better be ready to party, because come the first week in August we are partying and we are going to have a good time. But enough said with that. It's going to bring us to our final segment called The Final Five.
The Final Five.
The first question is who is your hero and why?
It's going to sound cliche, but I'm going to say my mom. She had strength to leave my dad, who was an amazing dad, but he wasn't amazing for her at a time where divorce was not wasn't looked well upon, right? She needed more, and against all odds, we went for it. Huge.
Yay, moms.
Yeah, shout out to moms. It's not cliche. You know what? Moms are important. I can never answer that one. Like, I lost my mom when I was 13, but like, man, I really appreciate the women and the men that come on here and say, like, my hero was my mom or my dad for that matter. So it's not cliche to me because it's something that, like, there's a lot of people who lack that. So that makes it, therefore, not cliche. To have a strong maternal or paternal figure in your life is a huge blessing. So, not cliche at all. I'll just take that off the table for you. Next question for you is going to be, what is the funniest thing that your hormones ever convinced you were an absolute emergency? Humor is a defense mechanism for me. I'm ready.
Yep. I had a alcoholic beverage, and all of a sudden I started like swelling up in my face, just red hot swelling. And then I started panicking that my throat was closing up. It wasn't at all, not even a bit. But then I'm doom thinking, oh my gosh, I can't drink alcohol anymore. Something's happening to me. So I guess perimenopause really affects histamine. So if you've had even a slight little allergy to alcohol or whatever, histamine can get all fucked up with perimenopause, and then you're going to go scarlet and hot, and your nose is going to get stuffed. But I wasn't dying. So
I was not dying.
just,
that.
At least it was histamine and not Listerine. So
right?
Your breath can still smell good.
Yeah.
Yes.
That benefit.
That makes it better.
Yeah, totally.
That's a typical man Band-Aid. Can we call it a Mand-Aid?
Totally. Band-Aid.
Oh.
You should patent that, Sydney, right now.
Put a Mand-Aid on that for you.
Yeah. Before anyone steals it, get on it. Patent that shit.
This is my official claim that is my intellectual property.
Yeah.
Dated right here. Clip this. Timestamp. Date it.
What book, quote, verse, or song has impacted your life the most?
Whew. This was such a tricky one. Man. I read this book. I cannot even remember the name of it. And it had... Let me find it. I think it's
One of these days, I want somebody to hold up my book and not know that it's me. Stay with yourself. Okay, 101 Reflections. What's the subtitle?
Yeah, it says 101 Reflections for Women Finding Their Way Back.
Love it.
So I got this book. It was recommended to me. And when I read it, I felt really seen. I felt not alone. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I'm actually passing it on to a friend. Now that's why it's in my pile there. So I would recommend that book. It just made me feel so validated in so many ways.
Love it.
So was that after the man didn't ask for directions and you got out of the car mad and that's why you had to find your way back home?
That's exactly right, John. That's exactly what happened.
You nailed it.
No, I came with like a, who the fuck am I? What is happening? That's where I'm finding my way back.
Oh, truly. All right, next question for you is, what is one thing that every husband should Google tonight before bed after listening to this episode?
Perimenopause symptoms.
All right.
Easy.
What would you have them follow that up with? I'm going to ask, there's a A and a B to this question. Like, after they Google perimenopause symptoms and they're like, okay, maybe this is what my wife is dealing with. And then they listen to this and they Google perimenopause symptoms. Like, what's that next thing where it's like, okay, now we're going to take that this much further?
How can I increase my wife's libido?
Love it.
That's
your follow. I actually really love that.
That's exactly what they're going to ask. Cause like, that's how men feel loved.
Yes.
And women feel it through romance. So it's the circle. Men give romance to get sex. Women give sex to get romance. And if that wheel gets out of turn, then it stops happening.
Great. Love that for us.
Very good.
We could end right there, but we got one more question. If you could sit down and have a cup of coffee with anybody living or dead, who would it be and why?
I'm going to say a group of midlife women who had to go through these hormonal changes without the right words and feeling incredibly alone. I want to hear their stories.
Very good. Awesome. Well, Amber, thank you for being a guest on our show today. Thank you for being part of the Common Ground podcast community. If people listen to this and it resonates with them, whether they are a man or a woman experiencing a partner that's going through this, or they themselves are going through it and they want to reach out to you, connect with you, follow you, or learn more about this, how can they find you? Where should they go?
Yeah, for sure. Follow me on my Instagram page. It's for midlife women of all ages, really. And it's for their partners as well who are curious and want to learn a bit more. It's at shecomesfirst.av. V is in Victor.
Victor.
Everyone just says it. Everyone just thinks it's a V. It's a V. A Victor. It's a V.
I got you. Awesome. Very good.
And wow, what an episode. I generally can't wait till we have you back on again. But remember, when we take the time to hear somebody's story, it gives us the opportunity to find common ground. Thank you, Amber, for being our guest today. And as always, for Sydney and myself, it has been our pleasure being your host, and you have been listening to the Common Ground podcast. God bless and good night.
And that's it for today's episode of the Common Ground podcast. We hope you're leaving with a little more perspective, a little more purpose, and a whole lot more inspiration.
So thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. Thank you to our special guest.
If today's conversation moved you, encouraged you, or challenged you in any way, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, rate it, leave us a review. Your support helps us reach more people who need to find their own common ground.
So for John Fletcher and Sydney Curtin,
we'll see you right here next week, same time, same place on the Common Ground podcast.
Please take a moment to listen to this disclosure from the Common Ground podcast. The Common Ground podcast is dedicated to exploring commonality among individuals with diverse perspectives. Our guests may present unique worldviews related to health, psychology, and overall well-being. Please note that the Common Ground podcast does not directly promote or endorse any specific ideas, concepts, or actions discussed during our episodes. Listeners are encouraged to approach the information shared with discernment and to consult with their mental and/or physical health providers before making any changes to their health or wellness practices. The views expressed by guests and hosts are their own and do not directly reflect the opinions of the Common Ground podcast. Your well-being is important, and we advocate for informed decision-making. Thanks for listening.